welcome to the JPT Sub, everyone. Here we are at the end of September already. I mean, where's the time going, everybody? It's just flying. But it's time for the September layout update. Here in the open, you guys just saw a train traversing the new connector track. I'm really happy with that, and we'll take a couple of looks at that, and you know, you can see it here as the train's coming by. We basically got the track in. You know, you've seen that in the previous episodes. Got most of the scenery redone here. It's really, if you hadn't seen it before this, you would have, you know, hopefully you would think that's how it's always been. Next up, though, I want to talk about my little tower friend here. This tower is an Atlas kit, something I've had for a really long time, and I don't know, it looks good there at the diamond, but it just doesn't fit the layout in my opinion, and especially with the some of the other upgrades going on. So, and you guys can tell me if you think different, but right now the plan is I have a new tower that's going to replace it here. So, you know, we'll sit a little farther back, obviously, and need some landscape work. But it's funny, I just tore that apart and redid it, and now I'm going to tear it apart and redo it again. But I'm thinking that tower is going to be a big upgrade in that particular spot right there. I think it looks better with the trains and everything, so just has more of a, I don't know, it has more of a railroad feel to me than it, you know, the brick and wood structure than the all wood little square tower had. Our signal box for you guys in the UK friends there. Another thing that's got to happen in this area, and it's probably going to happen during October, and again, just tore the place up and put it back together, and here I go again, is both of these tracks here. This is the end of the layout, actually, so, and it was always planned for a future expansion or whatever, and this space is just over 3 inches both ways here. I'm put these bumper tracks here just in case I ever ran a train down through there and ran it off the end, but that doesn't happen, and I'm rarely ever run a train down that far. And now with that connector track, until we do expand it, all the traffic's got the turnouts to go through, so it's not going to really come down that track. However, should it, I'm going to replace these with just straight track all the way to the edge here, but I'm going to insulate the gaps in the track here so that there's no power on these sections when I do replace it. So it's at least 3 inches of, as long as the train's going slow, it'll stop. If not, it'll at least slow it down some. So we'll have a big disaster, but maybe put a little piece of plexiglass or something here, you know, just something really thin and clear sticking up just enough to stop the train so it can't go off the end. But yeah, that's something coming. Now let's move around here and take a look at some of the other things going on. Okay, so here's the road that I'm working on. This may be a repeat from an earlier video, but you can see here these sections are in. I think this one's raised up just a tad right there. Most of my engines have not had a problem. That Kato SD70 Ace, the snowplow is just barely scraping the corner here, so we may have to tweak that just a tad. Won't be a big deal to sink it down just a little bit. Now they don't have sensor eyes, so they're going to be constant on for now, but I did find some crossing signals, just the flashing light crossing signals that I'm going to put in here as an experiment. They're on order. They'll be in by the end of the month, so they'll be something we'll be seeing later in October. I doubt they'll make the new arrivals cut here. If they work well, then I'll do some back here, and working on the road here. But one of the things is this goes on down through here. Let's see if I can do that nice, a little bit, not too much of a pan here, but it's out of focus, but you can see down, you know, the main road through town there. I'm gonna replace that whole road actually with a new top surface. So I'm not been, what I put down worked, but now that I've kind of gone to these newer style here, just doesn't look good anymore. So that's a future project. I'm just going to do this little bit here to where you can see the back of a sign here, just for fun. It's you guys can maybe see that it's just some rose closed barriers that I printed just for fun to throw up there. You know, you gotta let traffic stop anyway. So that's what's going on this area of the layout. Okay, so over here on this side of the layout, this is the crossover that used to go this way that we reversed, and you know, which allowed me that extra so trains can divert here and still make a loop, where before there was kind of nowhere for them to go. So as you can see, it's a nice smooth transition there. Everything is back in place, scenery's back in place. Again, it's one of those things where my goal was, if you had not seen it prior to this change, you would hopefully think this was always this way. It went a lot smoother than I thought it would, and you know, a lot quicker too. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. You can see back in the background there the chemical distribution plant back there. The back scene is really not appropriate, but it's something I've had for a long time, and it's just there. So maybe someday that'll get updated. But again, there's where the guard shack and gates are back here. It's another section of road that at some point is going to have to get replaced there. Probably won't need all that striping and everything since it's inside the gates at the plant, but we'll see what we do there. Let's see, what else do we got over here? This nothing else really new over here. I am thinking about adding some more, replacing some of these tanks with some different tanks back there, but that's still somewhere down the road. So I think for on this side of the backdrop, this is really all that's new back here to update you guys on. So do have one more thing. Let's go take a look. Oh, while I'm at it over here on this side, this is another one of those spots where I had the bumper track because of the end of the layout part here. That'll, when I do those other two, the other corner, I'll come around and do this one at the same time, because that should be a pretty minimal change there. So and I think it'll look a lot better. It just kind of, I think having that bumper track just kind of takes away from the feel of the layout right there. So okay, so it's maybe going to be a little bit of a spoiler alert or a tease, but I've been looking at this area of the layout, and I kind of like what's here, but I've never finished the parking lots here, and I don't know, it just, even though I like it, it doesn't have a good flow to it to me. I feel like there's something different I can do here. So I think it might be a winter project or maybe a spring project. I'm thinking of moving this building down this way a little bit, closer to this fence, because there's not really much on this side of this building anyway. So, and not really much, there's an access door here, but there's no I don't think there's an access door on that side of the building, and no bay doors for trucks or anything, so can move it down. And I think if I do, this road that comes in front of the church and cemetery that's behind this can kind of come straight out a little bit more, closer to this, right up next to this track, and continue on. And some of this greenery can come out. This building can come to this side. And over here in front of this, we can maybe put a couple of more little businesses that would look good in front of this grain elevator, and not make it look too crowded, but still kind of add to what's going to go on the layout. And I just finished one of those, so let me kind of move the camera around here a little bit. So just hold on, and we'll look at one of the buildings that just might go there. Okay, here you go, Waffle House. Let's stop for breakfast right now, huh? Makes you hungry. Waffle House is the typical greasy spoon. If you're familiar with it, you know the drill. If you're not, Google it, and you'll be impressed, or at least entertained, I promise. So it's really a cool thing. And I live in, for those of you that don't know, I live in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and a lot of times it's hard to throw a rock without hitting a Waffle House. There's so many of them around, so it's just one of those things that feel like it would fit good on the layout. And in front of the grain elevator over there, that's like the kind of perfect place you would find a little industrial and business area, where you kind of place you'd find a Waffle House. So it should be a good fit. We'll talk about where this kit came from at a little bit later, but the lighting itself in this kit, I added, it's 3-volt lighting. It came, it didn't have lighting with it, and that's something I added. And I'll show you guys, like, very cheap source of LED lights that I found was these HO scale 3-volt LED lamp posts, actually. So actually I just broke them apart, pulled the LEDs out, just glued them in there to make the lights. And they're plugged into a Woodland Scenics light hub, but they, any 3-volt power supply would work for that. I haven't put any customers inside the restaurant yet, but that's coming. And like I said, I think it's behind that. If I move that building over, shift it a little bit, and put it back there, I think redo the road. It's gonna change things a lot there, and I think that would be for the better. And we'll talk more about that when it comes time to do the change. But for now, this is pretty much done deal. And I won't say it's a new arrival, because this was done in actually, I think I started on this kit in July, so it's more of a I just finished it thing than a new arrival. So, but we'll talk about where this kit came from more when we get into the new arrivals. So there's a good bit coming there. So that's pretty much it for the layout updates. So let's move on to the new arrivals now. First up in our September arrivals is this pair of Kato 20-202 number 6 left-hand turnouts. These are going to go to replace the crossovers that I had originally done going the opposite direction, and with adding the connection track, they're needed to reverse that. These will be put to use very shortly after receiving them, and maybe by the time you're seeing the new arrival, you've already seen them in another video being put in place. Another new arrival this month is just a little package of Kato track here. It's the 20-010 186 millimeter or 7 5/16 straight tracks. This will be used for another project on the layout that we'll probably see happening in October. Here's a product I recently saw a little something about online and thought I needed to give it a try. So that's a new arrival for September, is this KOALA No Need Spray Waterslide Decal paper. It's white paper, so have some decal different things that I can make with that, and looking forward to giving it a try, and I'm sure you guys are going to be seeing how this works out in future videos. One of the new arrivals for September is this is a freebie, the Railway Modeler magazine. This was included with their August issue. For my friends in the UK, yeah, it's September, I know, and August issue you guys get in July. It's usually 4 to 6 weeks after you guys get it that it shows up at our local bookstore. So just now getting this, but this is a cool freebie for the magazine. I appreciate that very much, Railway Modeler, if you're watching. Next up in the new arrivals is a box of styrofoam peanuts. Of course, you know, that's really not what we're getting here. What we're really getting is my very first, if I can get it out of the box here. I'm unboxing it as you guys are seeing it here. It's the first time it's been out. Is my very first that I'm going to install anyway, ESU Next 18 decoder. This is going to go in the the Grand Farish Class 158 Great Western units that I've got. So I'm looking forward to getting this one installed. Okay, everybody, a little bit of vertical video here, but this is our last new arrival to announce for September. It's a Bamboo Labs P1S 3D printer. Really excited to add this to the JPT Sub. You can see it's already running and printing. Technically, I got this in August, but it was right at the end of August, so it didn't make the video. It was a birthday present. Technically my second 3D printer, but the first one I actually got in July, but it didn't make the videos because I only had it for 2 weeks and it bit the dust, and I wasn't going to go back with the same model. So I did a lot of research, and the wife and I came to the conclusion that this is the one to get. And so I've had it for about a month now, and I am extremely happy with it. And you guys saw the Waffle House earlier. Part of it was printed with the first printer, and part of it with this one. The parts printed with this one were definitely 100% better. I've printed quite a few things so far, and you know, there's tons of videos on these printers out there, so instead of talking a lot about the printer, I think in future videos we'll be talking about things that we've printed with it. So thanks for letting me throw in a little vertical format here, and we'll flip back to the regular format, and I think it's time to head into our running session and wrap up the video. thanks everyone for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the layout update and this month's new arrivals and a little bit of running session here at the end. Really appreciate you all taking the time to watch the video, and the likes, the comments, the subscribers. It's all great. I mean, it's more than I could have expected when I started doing this, and I really appreciate each and every one of you that takes the time to watch it. So cheers, and you guys all take care. We'll see you on the next episode of the JPT Sub.